Recording in progress. So as I said yesterday, we were working in the first part of a session. We were working on the elements of the simple business plan, just for us to get a little bit more familiar with a vocabulary and with the elements that we found in that format. But of course, as we progress with our projects, we're gonna go in detail a little bit more. So no worries if you still perhaps have doubts regarding some of those elements. That's something we're going to be covering later. And then by the end of a session, we had just a little discussion on a word, which was change. And you guys had to think about some of the like the top 3 challenges that you had since the pandemic started. You had a little discussion on that. Then we socialized it on here in the main room, and that was it. All right. So we were talking about changes. So also, if you remember, guys, last week when we started the whole class, I said that there was something that I would always like you to think of pretty much every time you do everything. But at least as we start a class, this is something which is very important to start with. And it was that simple exercise of somehow assessing yourselves and ask yourselves, how present am I in this class, right? I'm not asking you to put the percentages here on the chat box, but just to think about that, but how present you are in this place, in this moment, in this class, and also ask yourselves what you could do to be more present and to focus a little bit more. This is something we have to take very seriously. And the thing is that, you know that when we get sick, because I don't know, we ate something that was not good, or we get a cold or whatever, we worry about it, right? And we often drink something or eat something or have something for that illness, right? So we get a pill or we have some sort of medicine just to feel better. But when it comes to our mental health, sometimes we are not very concerned about that. Sometimes we are not very aware better about that. So sometimes when we are not very focused, when we don't feel connected to what we are doing, is because there is something in our heads which is not working okay, which doesn't mean that you guys are crazy or depressed. It's just a matter of concentration, and perhaps there are things that we could do so we feel mentally engaged with the things we do. So I just wanted to say that. Let's try to think about how we are feeling, and also about the things that we can do so we feel more connected, we feel more, engaged in the activities that we are expected to do. Okay. And about that, guys, remember that one of my suggestions was that every time we go to the breakout rooms, we turn on the cameras, and also every time we want to talk or we are asked to participate, it would be good if you guys turn on the cameras, because that, improves a little bit that sense of belonging, and that sense of connection and feeling that there is someone on the other side of the screen. I don't know, guys. I don't know, guys. If I have um if I had share with you an article which is called La Mirada Zoom, because I think I had discussed this with someone, but I don't remember if it was with you. This is an article that explores, some of the effects that it has on ourselves to be too much time on these kinds of settings, on Zoom calls, and the feelings that we have or we experience um, when we see ourselves a lot because of Zoom and the classes. I don't know if I have shared that article with you. Don't you guys remember?
No, teacher, you don't.
No,
I'm gonna.
teacher.
No,
You
teacher.
haven't. Okay, so I'm gonna just share the link here. I also will share it on the WhatsApp group, just for you to read it whenever you can. I strongly recommend you guys read this article. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting because the thing is that every single setting in which we are has an impact on us. You see, so it's been 1 year and a half studying like this, and of course that starts to change the way we feel. You see that it starts to change the way we feel, the things we prefer, and the way we have contact with others. And that's why, as I said, it is really important to monitor how we are feeling, right? So if you wake up one day and you feel you've got a cold, you worry about it and you've got medicine, right? You would do something about it. But sometimes when we are just, we are not very concentrated, or we just feel bored, whatever, we don't do anything about it because we feel like that's normal. And well, it is normal, but we also need to try to do things so we feel better. Okay, so it is all about worrying a little bit more about also our mental health and how we feel emotionally regarding things. That is essentially my point. Okay, guys. So going back to yesterday. So we're talking about change, and that means we are about to start a session 1.2. So I would like you guys to please open your books on this lesson, the lesson 1.2, which is called Managing Change. Okay. So guys, if you will, please open your books here, lesson 1.2, and all of you have got the book, right? All of you have the book. In case you don't, let me know, although you should have it. So we're gonna do something very, very simple, yet very interesting. This picture is very crazy, I would say. This picture looks very interesting. Lots of things could be happening here. So I will ask you to please do this, but do not cheat on me. So do not read anything. Do not read this review or whatever. Just focus on the picture. So we see in this picture, this man throwing a fish, right? Throwing a fish, and people, there are lots of people around, and most of them are smiling, laughing. So there must be a reason, right? So what I'd like you guys to do, we won't do it like in couples or whatever. We're gonna do it individually. I would like you to take 1 minute to have a look at the picture and just think about a possible explanation for that picture. And I will pick you up. I will pick you up. I will pick you randomly. I will choose some of you just to give us your ideas. So please, when I called you just to give us your ideas, if that's okay with you, it would be really nice if you guys turn on your cameras and you say, this is what I think is happening in that photo, okay? So you guys have 1 minute to guess what's going on in this picture. 1 minute, guys. Okay, guys, time's up. So let me see who I should call. Because if I ask you to participate voluntarily, chances are that the same diligent people would answer. So I would like to listen. Let's see. I would like to listen to Joanna Corredor. Would you please tell me what's going on this picture, because I have no idea. I don't get it. I don't understand. Joanna.
Eh, Good morning, teacher.
Hello.
I suppose that the way that the men work is that way.
Mhm.
Eh, my first, well, I think in the first moment, probably he committed a mistake or
Okay.
accident, but I think for the way that the people around him
Uh-huh.
look is the way that the man is working.
Okay. That sounds interesting. So it's like he's just having another day in his job, just doing his stuff, and people laugh because he works in a very particular way. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much, Joanna. Let's see how is next. Once again, guys, I'm a little bit too like intense with this. I know that, but if you guys turn on your cameras when talking, that would be amazing. But remember, I'm not forcing you, because that's not how it works. So this time I like to listen to, let me see, I would like to listen to David Torres. Mr. David, what can you say about
Hello,
this picture?
teacher.
Mhm, mhm.
Let me turn on my camera.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Can you see me?
Yes, mister.
So, well, I think that in this picture we can see a client, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and he is throwing the fish to the chef. I think
Mm-hmm.
that this is a restaurant, and in this restaurant, they are doing like a show. For example,
Uh-huh,
I don't know
uh-huh.
if you know South by. That
Yes. Uh-huh.
he is someone who does a show with the salt
Yeah.
like this.
Uh-huh. Yes, I
I
know.
think that this is like a show that they are doing in a restaurant
Mm-hmm.
with his clients. So
With their
I
clients.
think
Okay.
that they are throwing the fish to the chef, and the chef, I don't know,
Okay.
he is going to cook the fish in a different way that we know.
Uh-huh.
And I think that this is like
Okay.
the main description of the picture.
Okay, David, thank you very much indeed. That makes a lot of sense. Um, that might be part just of the show they are doing there as they sell fish or as they prepare fish. And that's something we'll find out in a moment. So, guys, this is what we're gonna do now. As we have, tried to analyze this picture and try to draw some conclusions on this, we're gonna go over the exercise number 2, and um, we are going to describe this 3 things. So this time we're gonna read this in groups, as I said. By the way, before I forget it, I will just set this up. There you go. So guys, we got 3 different questions over here. So the first one, I mean, you guys are gonna read this book review, which is this review, which is right here on the right, which is called Fish Book Review. You're gonna read this, and we are going to discuss 3 questions. First, it says, describe the atmosphere at the fish market. How would you feel if you were a customer? Okay. What is the connection between management training and the Pike Place Fish Market? And how do you feel about the 4 business principles? You see? So this is also a very interesting connection with the project we are working on. So let's see what happens. So guys, you guys will work in groups of 3 to 4 people and work on these 3 questions. You will have around less than 10 minutes to do that. And this time you will also be able to choose your groups. So we're gonna work on the exercise number 2. So here we go. So let me share my screen again. So guys, as I said before, we had to read this a little review, although we are missing some words, by the way. And then you guys had to discuss these 3 different questions. So I will choose some of the groups randomly so you guys can, let me see, you guys can tell us some of your ideas about that. So I would like to go with I would like to go over the question number 1, which is basically describe the atmosphere at the fish market and your opinion on how you guys would feel if you were customers. So I would love to go with the group number 8. So Ashley, Dylan, or Maria Alejandra, someone in the group, please give us your impressions on this review and the question number 1, if you will, guys.
Okay, teacher.
Thank you.
We discussed and they told me something that I didn't think. That was, yeah, it's funny that they try to make different, like a different atmosphere in the market. But if the fish like go hand by hand, that is not hygienic. And maybe we are traumatized with coronavirus,
yes.
but if the fish is itself like dirty, that many people touch it is like a little gross. So
that is right. That is right. You know what? That's absolutely right. And if we ask this question 2 years ago, perhaps we wouldn't say that, right? We wouldn't be aware about that. But today, what you guys have said is absolutely irrelevant. So it's cool to see that they create a nice atmosphere, which is exciting and everything. But on the other hand, it doesn't look very clean, right? There you go. I like that answer. This is this is the second time I do this activity in my life, and and they have never said this. That is right. Okay, thank you, Alejandra. So we're gonna go now with the group number 6. So Diana, Laura, or Nicolás, Diana Maloyes, Laura Bermúdez, Nicolás Medina. I would also like you to please go over the question number 1 and tell us your impressions on that.
So it would be cool see that kind of show, yeah, because in the text they put that that kind of sale is a show, and it is new and interesting, and on the other hand it's a way to attract people to buy salmon. For me, if I see that that supermarket here in Colombia, I would like to go there and buy salmon or another fish.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about, talking about that, Nicolas, about what you said, which is strongly related, the experience is a very important part of buying anything. You see, every time we want to acquire a service or a good, the experience behind is really important. So just to make it a little bit more interesting, and there are cases in which we go to a place not just to eat something or not just to drink something, but because of the atmosphere and the way you feel in that place, you see? So that's part of it. So I absolutely get it. Thank you very much, Nicolas. So now we're gonna go over to question number 2, which says, what is the connection between management training and the Pike Place Fish Market? That is what they say there. So we're gonna go this time with the group number 3. So Ana Maria, Diego, Michael, Valeria, who would like to say something about the question number 2? Question number 2.
Okay.
Okay, go, Valeria.
Okay, so we were discussing and we felt like it will be a good experience to have at least once, because it will feel like you are in the front row of a show I mean, you're seeing face to face what they are doing. So yeah, we will feel like very happy, very pleased about that.
Okay, Valeria, thank you very much for answering the question number 3. But in this case, I would like you to
Oh,
go over the
sorry, I
second
said,
one.
I thought you said second. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, which is what is the connection between the management training and the Pike Place Fish Market? That was the question there, which is the second one.
Okay, so we put it like this. They use a specific marketing strategy to bring customers, and this strategy made them famous. So that is like the explanation we think.
Yeah, that is right. Although apart from that, to elaborate a little bit more on that, it has to do with 4 principles, right? With the 4 simple principles, and that is part of the marketing strategy Valeria is just talking about. So we'll see what that means exactly. We're gonna go with another group just to give us some remarks on that as well. And this time we're gonna go with number 7. Daniel or Gerson, who wants to say something about that? About the question number 2, which is all about these 4 simple principles. Daniel, Gerson, are you still there?
Yes, we're here, but okay, allow me then.
Okay.
The connection between the management training and the Pike Place Fish Market and these 4 principles is that it all works around attitude. It all works around the workers being comfortable and being happy about themselves and their job at the fish market. Why? Because of course you could be depressed, you could be sad, you could be having a bad day, but you don't want that attitude towards your customers. You want the customers to feel as easygoing, as happy as you in your capabilities want them to be. So the fish sells quite well. At the same time, you want to, as I said, make them comfortable, talk to them, convince them on buying that sweet, sweet salmon. And yeah.
Wow, that's great, Daniel. That's exactly what we could say about that. So it's all about the attitude of the people who work there. So we've got 4 different principles, but as Daniel summarized, all of them go around attitude. So the first one, they say choose your attitude, which is what he said at the beginning. It's like you could be moody or feel depressed, but you can also bring a cheerful attitude, which of course would have a completely different impact. You would also play, which means that you have fun there, and that's something people also value, right? Make their day, they say also here, which is something that is the product of providing a constant flow of positive feelings. And last but of course not least, as we started today's session, be present, right? When you are present with people, you look right at them, as they say here. That also makes a difference. You see, when we go to a place to buy something or to stay there for a while, and you can feel that there is no connection, that they don't really care about you, well, that of course impacts a lot the way you feel. Okay, guys, thank you very much. We're gonna do the exercise 3A, in which we are going to finally complete this text. So we've got here exactly 9 empty spaces, and we have to complete these empty spaces with the appropriate forms of the verbs. By the way, guys, something that I forgot to highlight, and I'm sorry about that, has to do with the goals of this lesson. So we know that in terms of grammar, we're going to be using mostly continuous forms. Okay, we're going to be using continuous forms, and then by the end of this lesson, we should be able to talk about change as well. So the forms that you guys have to use here in this 9 empty spaces are very likely to be continuous forms. Okay, guys. So I'll give you around, I don't know, around 5 minutes for you to work individually on this exercise, in which you simply have to complete the text using continuous forms, guys. So we've got 5 minutes for this. Let's do this. I'm recording again. So just for the purpose of the recording, guys, and as a way to summarize this, number one, and this is something we can do again just for you to refresh your memory and also for the others to understand a little bit better. When we are analyzing a sentence, we need to spot the actual verb of the sentence, which is the verb which is being conjugated. In this case of this sentence, it says, the guy behind the counter made, that's the actual action, made an unbelievable one-handed catch. And the whole thing, it's a complement, which in this case is it's a noun, right? A noun phrase, to be more specific. That's the first thing we gotta do, to spot the actual action, because the fact that there are several verbs, it doesn't mean that all of them are conjugated. You see, you have to spot the actual action of the sentence. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I said is that we need to be very careful with this form and function of each one of the words. So the form is how it looks, which is something that has to do more with the morphology of the words. You see how the words are created, how the words look. But on the other hand, we have the function, and that has to do with the meaning. It has to do with the function it has inside the sentence, and that could be different. You see? So as I said, I mean, we've got two very clear examples here. I mean, we've got actually several examples here, because for instance, counter could also be a verb. You see, just if you say to counter an illness, like to oppose. So counter could be a verb, but we know because of the structure of the sentence that in this case, counter is not a verb. It refers to a noun, you see, but it has the same structure of a verb. Same thing happens with one and hand, that could be nouns, but in this case it's an adjective because they are put together and they've got this ed at the end, which tells you that it's been converted into an adjective. But at the same time, it could look as a verb in simple past, but it isn't, you see, because of the position it has in the sentence. And the same thing happens with catch. Catch is normally a verb, right? But in this case, it is not a verb, it is a noun as well. You see, so we have to see that on that. Clara asked me, it depends on the context. Certainly, yes, it depends on the context, but it's not just the context, because if we say context, it's too general. It depends on the structure of the sentence. You see, it depends on the structure of the sentence. Every time we see, if we want to go deeper and analyze the sentence, we got to see all these things. And a way to put it is like when you have the sentence, you could ask questions to the sentence. So first of all, who? If you ask the sentence who, that means that you are referring to the agent, the one that performs the action, which in this case is the guy behind the counter. That guy is the one who is doing the action. Then you can ask the question, what? What is the action? Well, to make a catch. That would be the verb, to make a catch, to catch something. You see, that's the way we could put it. And when, we don't have an explanation here on when and nor and where. Well, where we can infer it based on the whole text. But that's why we got to be very careful. Okay, guys. And at the end of the day, just to summarize, I would tell you, just be careful with form and function, form and function, form and function. So it's form, how it looks, and function, how it is being used. We got to be careful with that. Okay, we'll see more examples later on, and also we can make a little pause later just to refresh our memories, just to remind a little bit, you know, the difference between sentences, clauses, phrases, all of those things which are really important to understand the structure of a text. Okay, guys, so if that's okay with you, we're gonna go over the number 3 in this case. I like, please, let's, Diego Jano, would you please help us with the number 3?
Yes, of course. So, another worker teased a small boy by making a large fish move its mouth as if it were talking.
So another worker teased is possible, a small boy by making a large fish move its mouth as it, well, it could be teased, but in this case, as you can see, they are telling a story, and that when you're telling a story, you can use both simple past, but you can also use continuous forms. And as you, when you are talking about, and once again, we could have the answer based on the rest of this paragraph. In this paragraph, in this, which is the second, third paragraph, this one, in this paragraph here, you're talking about several things that were happening at the same time. You see? So in this case, as you are talking about things that are happening all together, I would recommend using a continuous form. If you use simple past, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. But I would say it's better to use a continuous form in this context as you are talking about, you know, several actions that are taking place at the same time. So for instance, if you're talking to a friend of yours and you want to describe the atmosphere of a place, you might use continuous forms to describe a little bit more lively what's happening there. So I would suggest using this continuous form. Look, just like this. Was dissing, okay? Just as you are talking about several things happening at the same time. Although if you use the simple past, makes sense. It makes sense. It could be a possibility as well. Okay. There you go. So guys, question, tease. What is the meaning of that verb? It has two very interesting meanings, let me tell you.
It's like parar.
Excuse me?
It's like molestar. I don't know how to say.
Yeah, that's one of the meanings. It's like
okay.
Burlarse.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much something like that. In Colombian Spanish, we informally call it montársela a alguien. You could say that. So it could be both just, you know, molestar, recochar, right? Or it could be montársela a alguien. So like I could, for instance, in this case, they'd say that another worker was teasing a small boy by making a large fish move its mouth as if it were talking. So it's just like fooling around, just trying to be nice. But you can also, if it's a little bit too much, you could say that teasing could also have a negative implication. So tease could have a positive implication, which you are just doing something to make another person laugh or whatever, but it could also be like montársela, like doing something which could be annoying, okay? So that's one meaning, just to fool around, just to try to make the other person laugh. But be careful because it also could mean something negative. But on the other hand, tease could also have sexual implications. So tease could be very similar to seduce, okay? Very similar to seduce. So if you say that a person is teasing another one, it means that this person is trying to attract sexually another, but just for the purpose of attraction and no more, you see? So so it would be like seducir in that case, okay? So teasing has, or to tease has those two contexts, basically. It could be just fooling around just for the purpose of making the other person laugh, although it could be annoying. And the other meaning could be to attract, to attract on purpose another person, to sexually attract another person on purpose, but just for the matter of attraction. You see, so it's like to seduce another person. Okay, we're gonna go over number 4, and with number 4, that's going to be Angie Rodriguez. Angie, would you please help us with the number 4?
Two people was lounging uncontrollably.
Two people Two people was laughing.
Sorry,
Was-
we're
There you go.
laughing.
We're laughing. We're laughing. Chun chun. This is one of the most common mistakes in English. You know, the conjugation of verbs with the noun people. That's one of the mistakes that I made the most when I was in the university. We're laughing uncontrollably. Two old people were laughing uncontrollably. Very good. Number 5, let's go with, let's see. Number 4, number 5, let's go with Felipe. Felipe Bueno, please.
Yes, teacher. We were watching them work all morning. It's like watching a show, one of them said.
Okay, we were watching them all morning, you said. It's like watching a show, one of them say.
Or we
Wow.
watched. We watch. Yes, it's like
We
better-
watched them. Okay, so we gotta be careful because there is like, how do you call that? I don't remember how to call that, but there is a change in the tenses in the structure which is being used, because as you can see here, this is some sort of reported speech, what we got in this last sentence. So with the two previous sentences, we've got like the description of situations that were happening all together. But then here, for number 5, we are reporting what another person said, you see? So chances are that the structure can be completely different. And so what that means that this part doesn't have the same structure of the other sentences. It will be different for sure. But they say we watch them work all morning. It's like watching a show all morning. So I think the clue could be here, all morning. So this is something that these people have been doing all morning. You see, so in Spanish, they would have said, it's like, I don't want to use Spanish, forget about it. But it's like they are talking about an action that they have been doing all morning. So I just answered the question, as you can see. So what would be the right form here? Because if we say simple past, look, if we say, we watched them work all morning, it's like watching a show.
We can put like we have watched in a.
I like it more. We've watched them all. I like it more, although there is a better option, although that one is better. But we've got another one which is even better. We've got another one which is even better.
We have been watching.
Yeah, that is right. Let me just change the size here. So yeah, that's the one I would use. I would say we've been watching, and we'll see why exactly. We've been watching. Doesn't look very well, I'm sorry. We've been watching them work all morning. It makes more sense, you see, because we are talking about an action which is continuous, and it hasn't finished because we've been watching them work all morning. It means that it's still morning, but they've been there for some time. Although these people need a life. I cannot imagine being in the market watching people throwing fish away the whole morning. I don't know. Not something I do, but anyways, let's continue with the number 6, and this time it's going to be Lina, the one to help us with that one. Lina, would you please help us with the number 6?
Yes, of course. So fish. Fish is a management framing book with a difference. It tells the story.
There you go. Very good. Very, very good. It tells.
It tells the story of the Pike Place. Sorry, the Pike Place Fish Market.
Pike, yes. Pike.
Pike. Okay. Place Fish Market in Seattle. Seattle. And how the workers revolutionized their business through 4 simple principles.
Through 4 simple principles. Nice. Thank you very much, Lena. So this is, guys, one of the things that could be more challenging when we are, checking these kinds of exercises, and even more when we want to write, because as you can see, there are several, let's say, jumps regarding the way the actions are described. So there is in some cases there is simple past, but also there are continuous forms, but also we use simple present when we want to describe, in this case, an element which is not part of a story. So I mean, the first part of a text is basically a story, right? We are describing the atmosphere of a place, but in this case they start talking about something different, which is the book itself, and in that case we've got to use a different form, just the way Lina did it. Okay, so choose your attitude. We can bring a moody attitude and have a depressing day, or we can bring a sunny, cheerful attitude and have a great day. Play. We discovered that we could be serious about business and still have fun. Make their day. Focusing your attention on ways to make another person's day provides constant flow of positive feelings. I don't know if you've seen that, guys, but since, I don't know, a couple of years, more or less, I'd say, people are using the same structure that we use in this expression in English, but in Spanish. I don't know if you've seen this. They say in Spanish, like, no, me hizo el día. Esta película me hizo el día. Haven't you heard that? People using those expressions in Spanish.
Yes, teacher.
So I don't know if we, like, I don't know, some years ago, we would say that that is not right. That is not right, that is just wrong, that you should not say that, because that's something that comes from a structure in English. But languages are dynamic, so if people continue using that structure or that expression would become acceptable. Normally in Spanish we would say, instead of make their day, would say alegrar el día, for instance. But you know, languages are dynamic. Then let's go with number 7 and 8. I would like someone to help us with both. And in this case, that person who's going to help us with both is going to be Mr. Michael Cortez. Would you please help us with number 7 and 8, mister? Michael, are you still there? I think Michael might be sleeping. Okay, so let's go with John, please. John Gonzalez, would you please help us with the numbers 7 and 8, if you will?
Yes, teacher, of
Thank
course.
you.
So when you are present with people, you look right at them. Everything goes around you, but you still take care of just them.
When you're present.
I think that, yeah, I chose that because I think that is like instruction, maybe. So I choose those forms.
Let me see. So when you are present with people, you look right at them. Everything goes on around you. You said everything goes on around you, but you still take care of just them. Well,
other thing I thought, but I don't know if it is possible. We can add some modal verb, maybe like should, something like this.
Well, yeah, there are several options. Once again, as this exercise is on continuous forms, what the book suggests is that we say everything is going on around you. But the option that John is giving us is also acceptable. I mean, if you say everything goes on around you, but you still take care of just them, I think if we just use simple forms, simple present here, that is absolutely right. We can say that when you are present with people, you look right at them. Everything goes on around you, but you still take care of just them. If we leave it like that, it makes absolute sense. But I will just put here the answers according to what the book suggests, just for the purpose of the exercise, but please take that into account. In this case, simple present is also acceptable. They say that it should be is going on around you, and then it could be still take care, but you still take care. So it could be just still take care, just like that. But if we also leave here simple present, both options are absolutely acceptable. There is no problem with that, okay? So we're gonna go with the number 9, which is the last one, and this time it will be, let me see who, Diana Palacios is gonna be the person who's going to finish this exercise. Please, number 9, if you will.
Okay. In Fish, a woman applied to bike place principles to her own workplace, which struggled with a negative work culture and made a significant change to the motivation of her team.
Okay, so in Fish, a woman applied the peak place to her own workplace, which her own place, which, would you please remind me of the structure you used there? Would you please repeat that part? How did you conjugate that verb, struggle?
Struggle.
With past,
Like in
struggle,
past.
which struggled with a negative work culture and made a significant change to the motivation of her team. Applied as, I think it's acceptable. Once again, the book suggests something different, and it actually suggests that we use had been, so the bike place principles to her own workplace, which had been struggling. You see, so we the book suggests that we use this structure. Let me show you. Oh. This is the structure suggested by the book. But if you ask me, I would say that just using the past form, which is struggle with a negative culture, is also acceptable. It's also acceptable. So there are several cases in which we could use both simple past forms or continuous forms, and the meaning wouldn't change that much. But based on that, as you can see, we can have lots of different doubts, and we might not be 100% sure about which structure should be used in either case. So let's have a look at the grammar books so we see what's the explanations we've got here. So this is what we got. They say we use continuous forms to talk about actions or situations, past, present, or future, which are incomplete, temporary, or in progress. So these 3 words might be the reason why we would prefer using continuous forms instead of simple present or simple past, right? Just when we want to specify, when we want to highlight that an action is either incomplete, temporary, or in progress. So for instance, tomorrow afternoon, we'll be visiting an amazing fish market. We can say that in other ways. We could, for instance, say tomorrow afternoon, we visit. We could use present there. Or you could use also a continuous form. We are visiting. You see, so there are several ways to say things, and all of them are grammatically correct. But in this case, these continuous forms could be more accurate somehow. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be visiting an amazing fish market. The workplace had been struggling with a very negative culture. So in this case, we could say simply the workplace struggled. But if we say if we use simple past and we say struggled, which means that's an action which is complete. But in this case, we don't want to say that action is complete, but that was temporary, that negative work culture was something that happened just for some time, and then there was a solution. In that case, it's way better to use this continuous form. You see, that is the difference. Number 3, to all people were laughing uncontrollably. Once again, that's a way to say that this action was in progress. It's something that was happening. You could say to all people laughed uncontrollably, but that means that the action is absolutely over. Everything is going on around you, you see? So once again, this is a way to say that an action is in progress, and we've been watching them work all morning, which is a way that in which you say that the action is still going. It's an action in progress. If you say we watch them work all morning, it means that you are not there anymore. You are in a different place. So guys, these are just the examples. And what you guys have to do is to match these 5 examples with these 5 cases. Okay, so these are the 5 cases or the 5, situations in which we would use the continuous form. So I'll give you around 5 minutes to do this. Okay, guys, we're gonna watch this 5 with this 5. So if that's okay with you guys, we're gonna go to the breakout rooms once again. Let me just pause the recording. Okay, guys, so let's do this. We are about to finish. So let's see. Let me just record. So share. I'm sorry, my screen again. So let me see. So let's do this, guys. I'd like you to participate voluntarily this time, if that's okay with you. So we're gonna go over. Oh, wait a minute. We're gonna go over. How can we do this? Function by function instead. So the first one, guys, goes like this. To talk about actions, situations which continued up to or stopped shortly before the main past event. So this is a case in which we have an event in the past, right? We have an event in the past, which is the most important part in the sentence, in the description we are doing, and we want to talk about actions or situations which continued up to or stopped shortly before that important event. So what would be the case here, guys? What would be the case here? Which example goes with this one? With A? No idea. Come on, guys. Come on, you can do this.
Teacher,
Yes, mister?
we were not sure about that, but we put in that the 3.
The 3 you said?
Yeah.
So to all people were laughing uncomfortably. And what would be the main past event there? So remember that in this case, we talk about actions that continued or stopped just before an important event in the past. And
well, teacher, we put the number 5 because it is present perfect continuous. So it's an action that is continuous and maybe.
But once again, the question in this case would be, which is the main past event? What is the past event that happened that somehow was after these actions we are describing? You see, that is the problem there. In this case, in the case of A, it's like we have an important event, right, which is in the past, and there are some situations that happened right before this important event in the past. So we are describing a situation that was happening before an important event in the past. You see? So I'll help you with this one, if you will. In this case, A goes with 2. And in this case also, to understand better, we should see the context of the sentence. Because if you remember here in the text, they say, where is it? Look, in this case, they say, in Fish, a woman applied the Pike Place principles to her own workplace, which had been struggling with a negative work culture. So they were struggling with a negative work culture, and then she applied the principles, you see? So when she applied the principles, that's the moment in which we find the main past event. So what is the main past event? When she applied the principles. And what other are the situations or the actions that were happening before that the workplace had been struggling with a very negative work culture, you see? So this is what A means, that like we use discontinuous forms when we want to talk about about situations or actions that were happening but stopped right before a main past event, an important event in the past. And in this context, the main past event was when she applied the principles. Okay. Then let's go with B, guys. B, which is to talk about something in progress around or as a background to the main past event. You see, there is a difference. We have also a main past event, but the situations we are going to talk about didn't stop right before, but they are happening at the same time, basically, like as the background or around that same situation. So what would be B in this case?
We put number 5, teacher.
We've been watching them all morning. So what would be the main past event here? I'm not sure about that one. You see, this is a little bit tough, I know, but I'm not very sure about that one.
Could be the number 3.
Yeah, it is not number 3. And look, this is quite that relation. Look, it says to talk about something in progress around or as the background of the main past event. So the main past event in the text, in that part of the text, is the atmosphere, the situation that these men were working, throwing fish and so on. And then in the number 3, they say 2 old people were laughing uncomfortably. You see, they were laughing as the men were working. So that's why we could say that this is a series of actions that were happening as the background, or they were progressing at the same time, you see? So that's why we could say that in this case, it's number 3. Then let's go with C. C goes with which one? C goes, it says to talk about the length of a time of an action situation, which started in the past and is still going. So in this case, we're going to talk about something that started in the past and is still going, but also we want to talk about the time, the length of that action.
Number 5.
Number
5, there you go. It's number 5, because in this case, we are being specific about the time, you see? All morning, they say. We've been watching them work all morning. So this is something that in that line, we are saying this is started in the past, this is still going, and we are being specific about the time, about the length of that action, you see? So then we've got D, guys. D goes with which one? To talk about temporary actions that are in progress around now.
Number 4.
Number 4, right? Number 4, quite obvious in that case. To talk about temporary actions that are in progress around now. So we say everything is going on around you. We know that this is not forever, hopefully, and it's happening in this moment. And then we've got E, to talk about what we will be in progress at a particular time in the future. Piece of cake.
Wow.
Now 1, because it's the only one that talks about the future. So guys, that's what we got. I strongly suggest you have a look at the grammar reference in page 143. 143. This grammar reference is there for a reason. So have a look at this page. Okay, I would suggest you have a look at this. Remember that these grammar references are always optional, yet they are very important to understand better, you know, what's going on. So tomorrow, guys, for tomorrow, I would like you just to work on the exercise 5A as a super small homework for tomorrow. I would like you just to have a look at this exercise 5A and also to have a look at the grammar reference in the page 143, so we get a little bit more of grip on this topic. Tomorrow we're going to continue with this listening, exercises, and we're going to be exploring a format that we're going to be using for our projects. Okay, that's essentially it. So let me just stop the recording in this moment so we can call the attendance.